Imagine waking up tomorrow and finding out that the oceans, vast and mysterious, have just lost one of their most important players, fish. It's a shocking thought, right? But what would happen if this wasn't just a fantasy, but our new reality? No fish in the ocean, no fish in the sea, the lakes, or even the rivers. Can you picture it? The oceans, which cover over 70% of the Earth's surface, are at the heart of our planet's ecosystem. And guess what? Fish are the unsung heroes of that ecosystem. They regulate everything from the food web to the global climate. Without them, a chain reaction of catastrophic changes would unfold, some of which might seem too outlandish to even imagine. But here's the kicker. What if I told you that the absence of fish in our oceans would have an impact far beyond the water? It would reach every corner of the globe, from your dinner plate to the air you breathe. Still skeptical? Let's break it down step by step and see just how deep the problem runs. But stay with me until the end, because the true twist will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about life on Earth. Let's get one thing straight. The oceans aren't just vast bodies of water to look at during vacations. They're the beating heart of our planet. The oceans provide a home to over 230,000 known species of marine life, many of which humans depend on for food, medicine, and other resources. But fish? They are the lifeblood that sustains these ecosystems. Without fish, we'd see a chain of events unfold that could change the planet forever. Fish serve as a keystone species. That means they are essential to the stability of the marine environment. You might think that we could simply replace them, right? After all, we live in a world of technology and innovation. But the thing is, fish aren't just food. They're part of the intricate web of life in the ocean. They provide a vital service by feeding on plankton, algae, and small organisms that could otherwise cause havoc. Without fish to control the balance of these organisms, the ocean's entire ecosystem would collapse. What I mean by that? Algae would begin to flourish uncontrollably, leading to algae blooms that suffocate coral reefs, kill marine life, and disrupt entire habitats. In the blink of an eye, we could lose coral reefs, the rainforests of the sea, and with them, the diversity of marine life we rely on. The oceans would become eerily quiet, their once thriving ecosystems replaced by desolate wastelands. What happens to the food chain without fish? Well, let's consider the ripple effect, starting from the top of the oceanic food chain. Larger predators like sharks, whales, and dolphins rely heavily on fish for their diet. But without fish, these predators wouldn't just go hungry, they'd face extinction too. This would set off a chain of events, impacting everything from oceanic scavengers like crabs and sea stars to the nutrient cycling within the ocean. Next up, plankton, the unsung heroes of the ocean. These tiny organisms are responsible for producing up to 50% of the Earth's oxygen. But guess what? Without fish, plankton populations would spiral out of control. They'd consume all the oxygen in the water, leaving nothing for larger marine creatures. The result? Oceans running out of oxygen, which would be disastrous for aquatic life and ecosystems. In short, a world without fish would mean a world suffocating from its own oceans. Another surprising twist? Without fish, jellyfish would become the new apex predators of the oceans. You heard that right. Jellyfish populations are already increasing in some parts of the world, and they rely on small fish as their primary food source. In the absence of fish, jellyfish would multiply at an alarming rate. Beaches would be infested with jellyfish, and human activities such as swimming and tourism could be severely impacted. Not to mention, jellyfish are known to disrupt power plants and even block water intakes, causing havoc for local economies. Now let's zoom out a bit and think about how this affects us humans. It's easy to forget that fish aren't just a luxury or a food choice. They're an essential part of our diet and our economy. For millions of people around the world, fish is a primary source of protein. In fact, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, fish accounts for 17% of global animal protein intake. What happens if that suddenly disappears? Millions of people, especially in developing countries, would face extreme food insecurity. The fishing industry alone employs over 200 million people worldwide, including fishermen, processors, and distributors. If fish vanished from the oceans, entire communities would be thrown into poverty. Livelihoods would be lost, and economies that depend on the fishing industry would collapse. Coastal towns would face a downturn in their economy as tourism, fishing, and shipping industries all take a hit. But that's just the beginning. The absence of fish would also severely impact the agricultural industry. Fertilizers made from fish, like fish meal and fish oil, are widely used in animal feed, especially for livestock. Without these, alternative sources would be required, and they'd likely be more expensive and less sustainable. The global food supply chain would face inflationary pressures, making basic food items harder to afford for the average consumer. But wait, there's more. Fish don't just feed people. They also help regulate the global climate by controlling the amount of carbon in the ocean. Fish play an indirect but essential role in the carbon cycle by consuming plankton that absorbs CO2. When fish die, their bodies sink to the ocean floor, effectively locking carbon away from the atmosphere. If fish were to disappear, we'd see a dramatic rise in CO2 levels, contributing to global warming. Higher temperatures would lead to more frequent and intense storms, rising sea levels, and even more unpredictable weather patterns across the globe. What's the solution? So, what can we do to prevent this nightmare scenario? We have to act now to protect our oceans and the creatures that call it home. First and foremost, we need to prioritize sustainable fishing practices. Overfishing is a significant factor in the decline of fish populations. By reducing overfishing and adopting stricter regulations, we can give fish populations a chance to recover and maintain the balance of ocean ecosystems. Next, it's essential to protect and restore coral reefs. Coral reefs are not only beautiful, they're also vital to the survival of marine life. Protecting these delicate ecosystems ensures that fish, along with other marine creatures, have a safe environment to thrive in. Finally, we need to fight climate change. The oceans are already under stress from rising temperatures, pollution, and acidification. If we want to ensure a future where fish continue to play their crucial role in our ecosystem, we must take immediate action to reduce our carbon footprint and protect the health of our planet. What would the world look like if we had no fish? The loss of fish from the oceans would be far more than just an inconvenience. It would be a catastrophe, a crisis that would affect the entire planet. From ecosystems to economies, food security to climate regulation, the absence of fish would create a domino effect of catastrophic consequences that we're not ready to deal with. So, I leave you with this question. How will you make a difference in protecting our oceans and the creatures that inhabit them?